I've read about 100 different manga. Of those 100 manga, 42 are Yuri, a lesbian girl's love story. And no, I don't have a problem, you have a problem. I've additionally read 5 exclusively Yuri-themed visual novels, and have a playlist with 118 Yuri-themed Vocaloid songs, culminating in my Yuri-themed daily program, Song of the Gay. All of this to say that if there was ever a distinction for mastery that would allow someone to speak with even a little bit of authority with regard to girls' love stories, I'd definitely at least be considered. This preamble simply to say that of the 42 manga, 5 visual novels, and 118 songs, culminating in dozens and dozens of hours thoroughly seeped in girls' love stories of many genres, tones, and themes, there is only one story that has ever made me feel such a deep level of thoroughly beautiful passing agony, asking only about 30 minutes of your time. Let me tell you all about a story of womanhood, wonder, and war. This is an analytical look at Minazuki Nishisuichi, To Die in June. 12 young girls enlist into the Japanese Navy at the tail end of a losing war. Some enlisted out of national pride, others because they had no other options, others out of some familial sense of duty, and many more who couldn't recall how they ended up in their position at all. To Die in June follows these girls through 6 months from January to June of their service, culminating in an ending where, well, I'm sure you can probably guess how it ends. The story focuses on the value of love and belonging and coping with loss in an unfair world, told through the eyes of 5 girls. The main couple, comprising of the tallest and shortest members of their platoon, the 2 commanding officers, awarded their stations simply by merit of being the oldest, and the trumpeter who loved the world dearly in spite of her strange attitude. What's particularly remarkable about the narrative is its presentation of time. We only see a moment or two from every month that passes, interspersed with wordless scenes of the platoon's daily activities. It highlights the impermanence of action. People die and shed tears, only to be interrupted by others running down the beach and laughing. The world doesn't stop for your sorrow or your joy and continues to exist without you. Everything the girls do is simply another day that's lost. You might smile with your peers and mourn the loss of a friend, or kill another person with your own hands. Either way, time marches forward, not affording you a moment's rest. In January, they met. In February, they mourned. In March, they loved. In April, they killed. In May, they became lovers, and in June, well. That impermanence exists to help you. It makes you cherish the joy you have and to move on from the pain you feel when it's lost. The world does not care about you. Time flows regardless, and that's why we have no choice but to care for each other. To Die in June is a love story. The short girl and the tall girl fall in love. When they witness the death of a comrade, they realize how precious it is to be alive and confess. When they take a life, they realize their own mortality is inescapable and draw closer to one another. There's an unmistakable optimism from the short-haired girl that, even as the world around them grows increasingly hopeless, love can still propagate even through the worst of times. In fact, it may well be that the worst of times are the ones that force us to love in the first place. For how else are we to brave the darkness? The short girl offers the tall girl a choice: to live on in spite of a broken world, or to be swallowed by that emptiness and wait for your death. For 5 months, she chooses the former. And then in June, the short-haired girl dies. A firebombing wipes out most of the squad. Of the 12 girls, only 3 make it past June: the 2 commanding officers and the tall girl. Without the short girl, the taller girl throws herself into battle, hoping to die. But yet, she never does. The war ends and she's moved to an island to watch over the next generation of soldiers. The final moments taking place in Obon in August, remembering everything that was lost. The story makes great use of color, having been released on Pixiv as opposed to being traditionally published. Most of the story is not in grayscale, but told through shades of beige, making the panels feel like memories. Blue and red accent the scene during points of strong emotion. The selective use of color and the beautiful watercolor style can both create moments that are breathtaking, such as 2 girls watching the sky, and moments that are horrifying, such as fire raining down from above. In July, when everything is gone, the color completely vanishes. Not even the tints of brown remain as the story reverts to complete grayscale, reflective of the tall girl's utter hopelessness. But that is not the end of the narrative. Aside from loss, the other main theme of the story concerns womanhood. The young girls of the Ocean Escort are very much and explicitly girls. One girl's white naval uniform is dyed red by her menstruation. The lead couple perform the old wartime superstition of making a charm for safety that contains the pubic hair of a virginal girl you're fighting for. And yes, that is a real tradition. That said, what is the story actually saying about womanhood? It's commonly expressed that girls do not belong in the battlefield. However, it's also okay if they go out and die because they aren't expected to carry on the family name. What To Die in June posits is not that women should be kept off the battlefield because they're women. However, it also doesn't take the profoundly idiotic take that they should go out and die like men do either. Instead suggests that no one should be out and dying. Women are said to be propagators of life. The sea is called a woman, and from the sea all life came. Boats are called women, and boats protect their sailors. And in the end, though the tall girl loses the one she loves most, she and the commander are given the opportunity to raise the next generation of girls into a world that is no longer at war, using their womanhood to encourage love and life. The final scene takes place during Obon, the Japanese holiday remembering the dead, where people mourn and spirits of the lost return to their resting place. Having seen the end of the war, having seen that even if their lives meant nothing and their deaths even less, that people can keep going into a world without war, the two survivors create effigies for their lost loves and set them out to sea. The same sea they served in, and the same sea they died in. When they think back on their memories of June, they're able to think not only of their death, but the beautiful spark of life that they held within them. They see off the dead while embracing each other as the living, for in that is the beauty of life. There are countless things I could say about a story so short. I could talk at length about how striking it is that the tall girl is never named, but at the end takes on the surname of the short girl, having given her her heart even after death. I could talk about how the chapter pages all feature the heroine looking out at sea, until the final chapter where the short girl turns back at them, smiling in the sakura, a symbol of the beauty of impermanence. I could talk about the wonderful relationship between the two older girls of the company, which I barely spoke of at all in spite of them being my preferred of the two romances. But instead, I'll simply urge you all to take a half hour and read it yourself. To Die in June is a rare piece of fiction that I feel almost more than I see or read. It's truly one of a kind and something I'm proud to call one of the best manga ever written. If you're in the mood for another harrowing war story that highlights the beauty of life, I wholeheartedly recommend the manhwa entitled The Horizon. And if you want a great Yuri that deals with sexuality and the nature of love, I recommend the visual novel series entitled Flowers, starting with Le Volumes of Printemps. Other than that, I'll leave you all here as I recall the final words of the 8th chapter of To Die in June. Let's talk about it while we're all alive. About all of you in June. Thank you.